Back on the Nation at 5 with visuals of the readiness and, of course, the grandeur of the Mahakal. Look, in about 10 to 15 minutes, we are expecting the Prime Minister to actually arrive at Mahakal Lok. And after that, as per the schedule, at around 5:50 is when he is going to do darshan and puja at the Mahakal temple. So clearly he is going to spend about 25 to 30 minutes walking around the entire Parisar, the 900-meter corridor, and take stock of phase 1 that will now today be open to public. Pranshu Mishra is there. Pranshu, you've had a walk around. You've seen it. You've seen it in the evening lights. There is a beautiful light show, and when it is in full decor, it just looks beautiful from the skies and also on ground. Take us through what you have seen so far and what is the expectation. You have also spoken to the local people, not just the administrators or those involved, but also the locals. How important is this Mahakal Lok for the people of Ujjain?
Well, clearly, you know, Mahakal, it is an ancient temple, goes back, its references found in Puranas some 3,000 to 3,500 years ago. And even before that, people say there was this existence of this temple because this is the self-incarnated, self-Swambhu Sthapit Jyotirling. People of Ujjain and Indore and nearby areas are really upbeat. They are happy because the transformation that they are seeing, that is unprecedented, that is beyond their imagination. And as you rightly said, you know, there's several points of immense interest out there all along that 900 meters of corridor. The Rudra Sagar, as you said, was quite, you know, in a very bad, unkept way till few years back, and now it is in its pristine glory. Several statues have been installed there. Again, a lotus lake has been developed here, which is going to be a major attraction for pilgrims and tourists who come here. The entire Broadway has around 96 such spots where you have, you know, the statues or the scriptures out of depicting the life of Lord Shiva. And each such point you have this facility of 3D sound system out there. So any person from new generation who wants to have a sense of what Hindu mythology is, what the traditions are, could actually stand there and actually listen to all that narration. So that is clearly a very unique way of trying to connect the generation next with our traditions, with the Hindu traditions, with the mythology, with Hindu literature. Now, as per the itinerary, Anand, what we have been told is that around 5:25 is that Prime Minister should be arriving here at the Mahakal temple. So I think just in a few minutes from now, Prime Minister would be arriving here. Then from up to 5:50, that is almost till 6 p.m. It's a reserved schedule for Prime Ministers, and I think that will be the period in which Prime Minister will be having a walk along the corridor, stopping at several points. When I was inside, I did see at least 3 or 4, you know, makeshift stages there where children and artists were practicing. So I think there would be some live performances based on Lord Shiva's life in front of Prime Minister. And after that, Prime Minister would be performing a darshan and puja at the Mahakal. And 6:20 as per the itinerary that Prime Minister will be departing from Mahakal temple. So I think that will get slightly late. And between 6:25 to 7:05, that is the dedication of the Sri Mahakal Lok would be dedicated to the nation, and followed by that the Kartik Mela ground where the Prime Minister would be addressing a public gathering. So clearly, you know, almost 2.5 hours of engagement for Prime Minister after he reaches Ujjain, and during that course, the first phase of corridor would be inaugurated, which spans around on 20 acres of land. The remaining 27 acres of land is being developed under the phase 2 and would be inaugurated at a later date.
Well, these 20 acres are only so awe-inspiring. Imagine once phase 2 is also complete, how beautiful this whole complex is going to look. And there are going to be throes and throes of people who would want to come. I am one of them, ladies and gentlemen, would have loved to be in Ujjain today. But we have the Indian of the Year award scheduled for tomorrow. And that's a live broadcast. And that's why I'm here in our headquarters at CNN News 18. But we will. That's something which is there in my bucket list now, to get to Mahakal Lok and have a darshan. Because the last time I was there, I was disheartened because it's one of the 12 Jyotirlingas, and it was nearly about 8-9 years ago, Beneji, when I had gone. And it just made one feel what is happening to our entire temple ecosystem. It used to thrive, and it was so much the core, or perhaps the epicenter of our traditions, our way of life, and that itself was in a state of decay. And today it just is so heartening to see that there is an effort to revive it. And there is no doubting that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to champion this revival. He did that at Kedarnath, ahead and then at Kashi. And now we are seeing the work of Shivraj Singh Chauhan and his government. But clearly, it is the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. You can't take away credit from him for what we are seeing today.
Anand, you rightly mentioned that, the religious and I say the economic centers, they were unorganized, they were mismanaged, and they were in a very bad condition. And it was with all these, religious centers. And a place like Ujjain, which according to the Puranas, the city of Ujjain, Avantika, it is one of the oldest city on the earth. And it is just not the geographical navel, but also the religious and devotional epicenter. And that was so, in a bad shape and in a bad condition. So again, it is good to see that we are addressing something which was long due. Ayodhya, Kedarnath, Varanasi, Deoghar, and now Ujjain. And I hope many more centers are in the line. They are going to be next. And one more thing, Anand, let me mention you. I think it's the right time. UNESCO, they used to, get heritage sites in their list across the world. So you will be surprised that 8-10 years back, the people, those who were posted in Paris, in the UNESCO headquarters, what they did, the IRS officers, what they did. Previously, every country, they can, nominate any number of UNESCO heritage sites from their country. And a country like Pakistan, they nominated 25. China, they nominated 100. And you will be surprised how much numbers of heritage sites we nominated. 0. Now the rule has changed. Now the rule has changed, and a country can nominate one site in every 2 years. So what the law is that what Pakistan did in just 1 year, we will have to take 50 years to nominate just 25 sites. So this was our approach to the UNESCO sites, to the heritage sites. We never bothered, and it was a symbol of secularism. To ignore, to ignore such sites, and it became a symbol of secularism. And once you are going for revival of these sites, you will get a tag of being communal.
You made a comment on the fact that this was all done on the garb of secularism, and Uday Mahurkarji yesterday on our show on the Right Stand said that this entire secularism came at a Hindu cost. So Udayji, at this point, if you look at what is being endeavored, is it somewhere to try and bring back a certain amount of confidence? And also somewhere belief that we have it within us as a civilization, as a country, within our culture, within our scriptures, to bring back and lead and show to the world how society needs to be governed and how society needs to conduct itself. We're getting live pictures coming through of the Prime Minister speeding, the cavalcade speeding, and he should arrive at Mahakal Lok any time now. But yes, Udayji, we'll stay with the pictures, but we'll take your comment. Ji.
You see, this Mahakal corridor, followed by what you have seen at Kashi, at Kedarnath, catapults Narendra Modi into a different league altogether. He is today the symbol of revival so far as Indian culture is concerned, and this process should have been led by rulers who took over after independence. Why India had to wait for 75 years? My question is that here in Mahakal there was no issue of a temple. I mean, it's being done around the temple. The temple itself was never in any controversy. Why the Congress rulers could not do it in the first 60-70 years? They must explain. Only 350 crores has been spent, and the kind of facelift I have seen Ujjain since my childhood, as I told you, because it is my mother's place. My mother's ancestors owned 34 villages around Ujjain, and there are many areas named after her ancestors close to this temple. So I have seen it grow over the years. I've seen over the years. So why this could not be done earlier? In fact, as a child, I used to feel that we have heard so much about Ujjain, Vikramaditya, about Avantika, Puri. Why this city is so dead?
Yeah. No, it should not have been, and
I think
especially if geographically it is called the Nabhi of the earth or navel of the earth, and that's because of its geographical location, as Binaji was saying. But how is it that thousands of years ago they had figured it out? That's another question that science, astronomy, understanding geography, all of this was advanced to a level where these centers of the earth or energy centers of the earth around the earth had been identified. And there were structures that were built that could channelize this energy. So there's a scientific way of looking at it. There is a spiritual way of looking at it. Right now, the pictures that we are looking at on CNN News 18 are pictures of the Prime Minister's cavalcade en route and almost at the Mahakal Lok. So we'll go across to Pranshu Mishra for a quick comment. Pranshu, do you see a lot of activity, flurry of activity as the Prime Minister's cavalcade is zooming past and making its entry towards the Mahakal Lok Parisar?
Yes, that's right. Prime Minister is in Ujjain and he's almost at the moment taking entry into the Mahakal corridor area, Mahakal temple area. But Anand, initially his program is reserved, so I think there would be some delay before we actually get that live streaming coming in from the Doordarshan and ANI because initially the program is reserved. Prime Minister would be meeting certain people. It's a reserved program, and after that he would be performing Darshan, Pujan and Aarti at the Mahakal temple. So we are waiting for the live pictures, but Prime Minister already here, and we can from a certain distance from corridor because now it's in restricted area. So media has been moved out of the premises, but we can clearly hear that welcome sound, that uproar in our vicinity, which clearly indicates that Prime Minister has almost touched down at the Ujjain Mahakal.
Yes, so you can hear the noise behind. We can see the cavalcade. The pictures are there, and that's the Prime Minister's cavalcade that is right sandwiched between the pilot vehicles and, of course, the escort vehicles. He has sped his way from Indore all the way up to Ujjain, and he's made that journey in just about 30-35 minutes. We've got to take a very, very short break. When we come back, more live coverage from Ujjain. Stay with us.